Picture this. You're lying awake at 3 in the morning, your mind trapped in an endless loop of worry, your boss's criticism from yesterday, the bills piling up, the relationship that's falling apart, the dreams you've abandoned. You feel completely powerless, like invisible chains are wrapped around your thoughts, suffocating your potential. But what if I told you that a man who spent decades in literal chains discovered a 5-second test that could shatter any mental prison? What if this ancient technique, now validated by cutting-edge neuroscience, could give you instant freedom from any limitation your mind has accepted as reality? By the end of this video, you'll possess the same mental key that transformed a Roman slave into one of history's most influential teachers. And you'll understand why modern psychologists are calling this the most powerful cognitive tool ever discovered. His name was Epictetus. Born around 55 in modern-day Turkey, he entered this world as property, not as a person with rights, dreams, or choices, but as an object to be bought, sold, and used. For the first 30 years of his life, he knew only servitude. His master was Epictetus, a powerful freedman in Emperor Nero's court, a man known for his cruelty and unpredictable rage. Epictetus endured beatings, humiliation, and a crippling injury to his leg that would leave him permanently disabled. He had every reason to believe he was powerless. Every external circumstance screamed that his life was not his own. Yet somewhere in the depths of that physical bondage, Epictetus made a discovery that would echo through 2,000 years of human history. He realized that while his body could be chained, something within him remained unconquerable. But the story of how he discovered this freedom and the precise method he developed to access it instantly reveals something that will fundamentally change how you see every challenge in your life. Because what Epictetus understood about the nature of human consciousness was so profound that it would later influence everyone from Marcus Aurelius to modern cognitive behavioral therapists. The question that led to his breakthrough was deceptively simple, yet its implications were revolutionary. And when you understand the neuroscience behind why this question works, you'll realize you've been carrying the key to your own mental prison all along. The question that changed everything happened on an ordinary day in Rome. Epictetus was listening to his master rage about a broken piece of pottery. Epictetus was furious, blaming the slave who had dropped it, threatening punishment, his face red with indignation. And in that moment, Epictetus noticed something fascinating. His master, who owned dozens of slaves and had the power to control their bodies, was completely enslaved by his own emotional reaction to a piece of clay. The most powerful man in Epictetus's world was utterly powerless against his own mind. This observation sparked the question that would become Epictetus's 5-second freedom test. He began asking himself, in this very moment, what is actually within my control and what is not? Not as a philosophical exercise, but as a practical tool for immediate liberation. When his leg throbbed with pain from his old injury, he would ask the question. When Epictetus screamed at him, he would ask the question. When other slaves mocked his philosophical interests, he would ask the question. And every single time, without exception, he discovered the same truth. There were always exactly 2 categories: things within his control and things outside his control. But here's where it gets profound and why modern neuroscientists are fascinated by what Epictetus discovered. The act of asking this question creates an instant shift in brain activity. It moves you from the limbic system, where emotions and reactions dominate, to the prefrontal cortex, where conscious choice resides. In 5 seconds, you literally change which part of your brain is running the show. But Epictetus took this insight even deeper, and what he discovered next is so counterintuitive that it challenges everything most people believe about personal power. After years of applying this question, Epictetus made a startling realization. The list of things truly within his control was much shorter than he had initially thought. He couldn't control his master's moods. He couldn't control whether he would be beaten. He couldn't control his physical disability. He couldn't control other people's opinions of him. He couldn't control whether he would ever be freed. In fact, when he was brutally honest, there were only 3 things that remained completely within his control, regardless of his circumstances: his attention, his interpretation, and his response. That was it. Everything else, no matter how much he worried about it or tried to influence it, ultimately belonged to the realm beyond his control. This realization could have been depressing. Instead, it became the foundation of unshakable inner freedom, because Epictetus discovered that these three elements, attention, interpretation, and response, were not just partially within his control. They were completely, utterly, and always within his control. No external force, no matter how powerful, could touch them without his permission. When Epaphroditus screamed, Epictetus could choose where to place his attention, on the rage or on his own breathing. When pain shot through his injured leg, he could choose his interpretation, a meaningless suffering, or a reminder of his mental strength. When other slaves ridiculed his studies, he could choose his response, anger and defensiveness, or compassion for their ignorance. In each moment, he possessed absolute sovereignty over the only things that actually determined his experience of life. But this is where Epictetus's genius truly shows, because he didn't just theorize about this freedom, he developed a systematic way to access it instantly. The 5-second freedom test works like this. The moment you feel trapped, anxious, angry, or powerless, you stop and ask yourself one question. Right now, in this exact situation, what is within my control and what is not? Then you take 5 seconds to honestly categorize everything involved. Your boss's criticism, not within your control. Your response to that criticism, completely within your control. The traffic jam making you late, not within your control. Your stress level while sitting in traffic, completely within your control. Your partner's mood, not within your control. How you choose to interpret and respond to their mood, completely within your control. The diagnosis from your doctor, not within your control. How you face that diagnosis and what actions you take, completely within your control. Here's what happens in your brain during those 5 seconds. The question interrupts the automatic stress response. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for executive function and conscious choice. It creates what neuroscientists call cognitive reappraisal, literally rewiring your neural response to the situation. Dr. Caroline Leaf, a leading neuroscientist, has shown that this type of conscious questioning can change brain structure in as little as 63 days. But Epictetus discovered that the immediate relief happens instantly. The moment you clearly distinguish between what you can and cannot control, you stop wasting mental energy on the impossible and redirect all your power toward what's actually changeable. Modern research by psychologists like Stephen Hayes confirms what Epictetus knew intuitively. The primary source of human suffering is not external circumstances, but our attempts to control things that are fundamentally uncontrollable. When you apply the 5-second test consistently, you develop what researchers call psychological flexibility, the ability to adapt your behavior to match your circumstances while staying true to your values. But there's one more layer to this that Epictetus discovered, and it's the secret that made him not just free, but genuinely powerful. After gaining his freedom from slavery, Epictetus could have pursued wealth, comfort, or revenge against those who had oppressed him. Instead, he chose to teach. He opened a school in Nicopolis, where students traveled from across the Roman Empire to learn from the former slave who had mastered the art of inner freedom. Among his students were some of the most powerful people in Rome, but the most famous student he would never meet in person. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, would carry Epictetus's teachings to the very throne of the Roman Empire. In his personal journal, later published as Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was Epictetus's 5-second test, applied by the most powerful man in the ancient world. But here's what's truly remarkable. Marcus Aurelius, who commanded legions and ruled an empire, found the same freedom in this simple question that Epictetus had found in chains. Because external power, Epictetus taught, is always temporary and limited, but the power to control your attention, interpretation, and response, that's permanent and absolute. Sarah, a client of mine, discovered this truth during the darkest period of her life. She had just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, lost her job due to budget cuts, and was going through a painful divorce. Everything that could be outside her control was falling apart simultaneously. When she first heard about Epictetus's 5-second test, she was skeptical. How could an ancient philosophy help with her very modern problems? But desperation made her willing to try anything. The first time she applied the test, she was sitting in her car after a particularly brutal meeting with divorce lawyers. She felt completely powerless, like her life was spiraling beyond any hope of recovery. Then she remembered the question, what is within my control right now, and what is not? The divorce proceedings? Not within her control. Her lawyer's strategy? Not within her control. Her ex-husband's demands? Not within her control. But her breathing in that moment? Within her control. Her decision about what to do next? Within her control. Her choice to see this as an ending or a beginning? Completely within her control. For the first time in months, Sarah felt a sense of peace. Not because her circumstances had changed, but because she had remembered where her real power lay. 6 months later, Sarah had not only stabilized her life, but had started a nonprofit organization helping other people navigate major life transitions. She credits that first application of the 5-second test with saving her from complete despair. Because once you truly understand the distinction between what you can and cannot control, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the author of your own experience. This is what Epictetus meant when he said that no one can harm you without your permission. Not because external events don't happen, but because your interpretation and response to those events is where your true power lies. The ancient Stoics had a saying, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This wasn't mere optimism, it was a recognition that every obstacle contains within it the raw material for growth, if you know how to process it correctly. The 5-second freedom test is how you access that processing power instantly. Modern psychology has validated what Epictetus knew through experience. Dr. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote that everything can be taken from a person but one thing: the freedom to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances. This is not about positive thinking or denying reality. It's about recognizing where your actual power resides and learning to use it consciously. When you master this distinction, you join a lineage that stretches from ancient Roman slaves to modern neuroscientists. You become what the Stoics called a sage, not someone who never faces difficulties, but someone who has learned to face them from a position of inner strength. And that strength is always just one question away. Epictetus died around 135, but his teachings lived on through his student Arrian, who compiled them into the Discourses and the Enchiridion. These works would influence centuries of philosophers, from the early Christians to modern cognitive behavioral therapists, because what Epictetus discovered transcends any particular era or belief system. It's a fundamental truth about human consciousness. You always have a choice about where to focus your mental energy, always. The 5-second freedom test is not just an ancient curiosity. It's a practical tool that you can use right now, today, in whatever situation is causing you stress or anxiety. The next time you feel trapped, ask yourself, what is within my control and what is not? Then redirect all your energy toward what you can actually influence. Your attention, your interpretation, your response. This is how a Roman slave became one of history's most influential teachers. This is how an emperor found peace on the battlefield. This is how countless people throughout history have discovered that true freedom doesn't depend on external circumstances. It lives in the space between stimulus and response, where your power of choice resides. That space is always available to you. The question is whether you'll choose to claim it. As Epictetus himself said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reaction is always within your control. Use this knowledge wisely, and you'll find that the chains you thought were holding you back were never really there at all.